Good morning and welcome to this week. Man, it has been one hell of a week. We got Anita with us. Good morning, Anita.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, everybody.
Okay, and good morning, Scott.
Morning, comrades.
And good morning, Michael.
Morning. How is everyone?
Well, you know, we had some technical problems on Facebook this morning, but YouTube is with us. You know how they said in Star Wars, the Force is with us? Well, it's YouTube this morning. Well, Scott, the Democratic Party convention is coming up, and your homeboy, Joe Biden, is leading in the polls.
Who's
That must
again?
make you feel really good.
I'm not familiar with the name.
Act like you know now. Don't act like you don't know.
That's
Yeah,
Joe's
so,
namesake, Joe.
My namesake. Oh, I see. And how's he doing in the great state of Ohio, Anita?
Oh, things are good here, you know. We had a car caravan yesterday where, you know, and I think feelings are good about the election coming up. So, you know.
I know Michael is feeling really good about it. Michael, you riding with Biden, so I hear.
Riding's one way. You take that vehicle to defeat the extreme right, then you take it to the mechanic.
Take it to the mechanic, right? You want to take it all the way to socialism.
Or, you know, another way to think of it is that, you know, Biden is riding with the movement, hopefully riding the momentum of this great sort of set of interlocking uprisings for democracy, for Black lives, for women's equality, for the environment, for youth. It's, you know, that's the driving force.
It's one hell of a moment and against fascism, because they say Trump don't want to give up. They say that he's trying. What's he doing with the post office? He's slowing down the mail. And
I read an article yesterday, I think it was, within the Washington Post. Trump actually released he spoke on why he was interfering with the post office, and he said specifically that it was to limit mail-in voting. He said that, you know, mail-in voting is a plot by Democrats to, you know, whatever, have democracy, I guess.
Right.
And that's why he's been trying to defund the post office. To, you know, I've even heard reports that letter sorting machines have been removed in some post offices. But, you know, it's hard to know what's actually
even the
on.
blue mailboxes. I'm seeing less blue mailboxes outside because I heard they were, you know, removing those as well. In fact, last night I spoke to an immigration lawyer, and she was saying that her clients, you know, people applying for green cards, visas and such, they're having a very hard time. You know, what would have taken 4 months, you know, is taking 6 months because of the pandemic. But now it's taking up to a year just to get a work permit because of the way the post office is working. It's really unfortunate.
Well, and because the immigration service is not working too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You may be seeing less blue post office boxes, Michael, but I'm seeing less food. All of my favorite food at the supermarket is gone. I can't find any Swiss cheese. I can't find any of my yogurt. I don't know this has been going on for like a month now. I wonder if the crisis in the economy is affecting the delivery of goods all across the country. I know here in New York, something is not right. Anita, do you think that it's possible? I was reading that this morning that Mr. Cohen, Trump's erstwhile attorney, tough guy enforcer, who flipped the script and turned state's evidence and testified against him, is saying that he doesn't think that the boy will give up office. What do you think, Anita? Are you still there? Michael?
I'm here. Yeah. In terms of if he'll give up office,
Yes.
Who knows? And the way things are going, you know, I don't think they're in a position to say, yes, you know, I'm going to give up office. But especially, you know, with the elections coming up, we're not sure if they'll try to call them off or if they'll accept the election results. It's all up in the air. We're living, you know, in a world You know, we talk about the fascist danger, and it just becomes more and more real every day. And as Scott was saying, this kind of with the scandal with the post office and them admitting to, you know, purposefully slowing things down because of mail voting. I mean, it just seems like, you know, what's left of our bourgeois democracy is under attack, you know, constantly.
Scott, you're a leader of the Communist Party. Does the Communist Party have a plan if Trump doesn't leave office? What are you guys going to do? Or what are we going to do?
Am I back on?
You're back on. You're back.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. The electricity went out, so my internet went out. Oh, there it goes. Sorry. Now I have to turn it.
You're back with us now. So Scott, what are we going to do in case there's a...
Well, I mean, I think the first step is to recognize and, you know, kind of publicly foreclose on the option of him not doing that. All of these things are subject to a relation of forces. If he doesn't think the resistance is there, then he's gonna push it as far as he can go. If we, you know, leave it to the Senate, if we leave it to the apparatus of bourgeois democracy, you know, we may well see that kind of crisis. You know, we know that fascism develops out of capitalism, right? Even with the post office, they've been trying to defund the post office, privatize the post office for decades now. And this is, you know, now we see exactly how that relates to the attack on democracy. But so we've got to be out there talking about it, demonstrating about it, car caravans. It has to be absolutely clear that delaying the elections or not leaving office will not be tolerated.
Will not be tolerated. And that has to be said loud and clear. And working class trade union activity, Anita, is really important. I mean, like you saw in Chicago, for example, they wanted to send the children back to school. And the Chicago Teachers Union said, hell no,
that's right.
We won't go. You fools try that shit and we're going to go on strike. Hard language, but that's what they said.
I'm so proud to have been a member of
be able to, the postal unions will be, you know, on the lookout for what's going on, and we'll be able to tell us what's really happening inside post offices as we head into the election. Sorry, I missed some of what you guys were talking about, but
I don't think they can go on strike. We're talking about what can be done to prevent that fool in the Oval Office from refusing to leave office when he gets his butt whooped on November, what is it, the 3rd or the 4th?
The 3rd, but we won't know the results until maybe a week or two later. But I think the best defense is to you know, have a landslide against him, you know, get everybody out and get, you know, take back the Senate as well. And I just think, I think the ruling class, as I have said before, I think will fall into place because they don't want a constitutional crisis. They mobilize just the youth. Business as usual and start raking in the profits again. And that reminds me, I wanted to say today that Wall Street Journal had an article that said Wall Street breathes a sigh of relief with the Kamala Harris pick. But I don't want to be another one of those attacks on Kamala Harris, but I think if Biden and Harris win and we have Elizabeth Warren in the Senate, we can go after those same finance capital, you know, institutions. And if the Senate is in Democratic hands, more power to that faction too. So
well, maybe Mrs. Warren, Michael, will get named Secretary of the Treasury. Wouldn't that be something? And she'll be able to control Wall Street, big business.
One could hope,
Michael?
Definitely. Well, yeah, Biden has hinted before at even including people like AOC and Bernie and his kind of like coalition. I don't know if he was hinting at it in terms of his cabinet, but definitely having them involved in his climate change policy and the policy making and such. So I think that's important. But as you've really alluded to a lot of in your writings on cpusa.org, I think we really have to consider continuing marching now, marching to the ballot box in November, and then marching back out into the streets, regardless of whoever wins, right? Of course, it's going to be a different kind of marching in terms of our demands. If Trump doesn't accept the results, or if Biden-Harris wins, but we have to have that mentality in mind. It's going to be a continuation of the democratic and class struggle, no matter who wins.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's
as we
a sharp
approach
attack
this,
on Mrs. Warren. Scott, you were about to say?
yeah, I was going to say, we have to be really careful and measured about how we approach the Biden-Harris ticket, because it's really easy to slip into a trap of saying, oh, look, it's just another example of, the Democrats have betrayed the working class. They're kowtowing to Wall Street interests or whatever. But that's not a struggle perspective. First of all, it doesn't recognize where the real action is, which is not the choice of candidates. The choice of candidates just, in a certain sense, ratifies a balance of forces that exists already in the movement.
Mm-hmm.
The struggle perspective, the dialectical perspective is, there are multiple forces in this grand democratic coalition against fascism, and those forces are struggling with one another. And the fact that already that Joe Biden was compelled, is the word I would use, to pick a woman of color as his vice presidential candidate. Already the fact that he's been that the Democratic National Committee has been compelled to sort of court the left much more than it has in the past. That reflects movement, that we have to look for the openings for struggle rather than saying, oh, all's lost. It's and I've heard people say that, oh, we can't, Biden won the primary, now we can't defeat Trump, or that's
No.
lethal. It will kill
They're making
us
it about
if we take
personalities. They're making
Right.
it about personalities there, Scott. And it's
Mhm.
like, as you said, it's a whole movement involved, and it's not about personality. It's not about Trump and Pence, and it's not about Biden Harris. It's about people going to the polls, and because there's so much at stake, right? None of them are perfect candidates, all right, but that we have to go and think about what the issues are: the immigration, the post office, the police violence, right? It just goes on and on and on. Women's reproductive
fact of
rights, climate
elections.
change. Exactly.
Wait. Now y'all talking about relative balance of forces and all this kind of fancy talk. What about the $600? Now, I heard that McConnell yesterday, they went on vacation. They went on vacation and they left working people without money in the pocket.
Mm.
And Trump provided that phony executive order. Now it looks like if it ever happens, they're only going to get $300. I read, and the states are going to have to, if they have any money, because they've been defunded by the crisis, are going to have to contribute a quarter of that. Is the movement not strong enough to compel? What do we need to do in order to, continue? I hear the People's World is having a town hall meeting on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Is to support unemployed neighbors. And we need to put a link. Everybody should try to show up. You can go to cpusa.org, go to peoplesworld.org.
When this
go to our
episode
Facebook pages.
Pin that to the top of our Facebook.
Pin it, yes.
And yeah.
So go to Communist Party USA on Facebook. Within a few minutes after this episode's over, the registration link for the town hall will be pinned there. And please sign up. I think we've got 1,000 people or more registered so far, and it's
1,024 right now. Yay!
Yes.
And it's also pinned to our Twitter at communists plural USA at communists USA.
Right.
But what about this socialist moment that the party co-chair has been taught to that there's a socialist moment within this broad democratic period. And are we in that kind of thing, either, Anita, that Gramsci called an inter something, or what's that word? Where the old will not die and the new cannot be born. Is that what's going on, Anita?
Sort of a liminal state. I'm not really sure. I think I'm not sure whether we're ready for the socialist moment, but we're ready for the post-fascist, post-Donald Trump moment. And I think that's just all that people are zeroed in on. And I don't know, since I said something about Kamala Harris that wasn't completely positive, I do want to say I think her the choice of Kamala Harris is a huge symbolic victory for Black women. For a lot of my family are Jamaicans, and we Jamaicans are all excited about her candidacy. And I think I heard Latoya Brown, who runs that Black Voters Matter. She just, people are excited about her candidacy, and I think we can't take that for granted. I think it's going to generate some enthusiasm for the election, definitely.
Well, I think it's an advantage more than symbolic, not only for Black women, but for all women, and right. And for democracy in general. I think that the issue is not so much the personality or even their past, but have they moved in this moment? Because people's thought patterns are changing, their positions are changing. Everything's in motion. And how far can the democratic and people's and working class and women's movement push this new administration in a better direction? Because I got so upset in a meeting the other day with people. We were talking about the unemployment crisis and the fight for the 600, and people started making speeches about, we need to solve unemployment permanently. We need more fundamental solutions. And I was like, what are you talking about? Because the solution to the problem of unemployment is not an abstraction down the road. It is addressing this real crisis right now. Right now. And if you don't address this crisis right now, who it's affecting, how it's affecting them, COVID, Black men, Black women, Latino men, Latino women, Asian men, Asian women, white men, if you don't address it as it is currently affecting people and pull forward partial, radical solutions to these problems, you're never going to solve the problem ultimately, because it's just an abstraction.
And we have to think about what it means to be a communist. We are a party of the working class, the tool, the weapon of the working class in the fight for its liberation. If we're not doing everything we can to advance the interests of working people right now, if people are starving, if people are being evicted, and we are not, and we're just preaching about, a million years down the road, or 2 years down the road, or whenever.
Revolution tomorrow, Scott. Revolution tomorrow.
Well, and yeah. And on that, the socialist moment, I think we're in a moment of democratic revolution, a moment like the moment going into the Civil War Reconstruction period, when people began to realize that there was a need for abolition. Something had to be gotten rid of permanently. There was or in the civil rights movement, or in the great labor uprisings of the earlier part of the 20th century, saying that there needs to be a fundamental redistribution of power, even within bourgeois democracy, right? And I think the socialist moment, part of it is that people are realizing now that the democratic revolution, you can only go so far before you come up against capitalist property rights. The democratic revolution runs up against capitalism at a certain point. And
people's property, working class property, has to take precedence when that happens.
And I think young people especially are starting to see this. I mean, people, especially younger people who, they came out of Bernie's campaign very, upset and depressed, and rightfully so. We got to understand them. And, they were kind of asking, what do you mean by a popular front? Who are you working with here? But I think a lot of these, younger folks, working class background students, whatever they are, they're seeing that they can't have all of this stuff that Bernie promised unless we defeat the extreme right first, right? It's not, we have to defeat only a sector. I guess I should say we're only capable of defeating a sector of the ruling class at a time right now, right? And so, the first that has to go, because it's the primary danger, is the fascist danger, the extreme right, which manifests itself in the Trump administration.
And you have the last word, Michael. Well, it's been quite a conversation. We're going to see what happens on Sunday. We want everybody to show up to the People's World Town Hall. It's co-sponsored by the Organizing Upgrade. And we got there's going to be a lot of different speakers from the labor movement, from the people's movement. And we're looking forward to everyone joining us. Anita, thank you so much.
Thank you, Joe.
We're counting on the Buckeyes to come through on November the 3rd. Is it November the 3rd or November the 4th?
The 3rd.
I don't want to be accused of voter suppression. Giving people the wrong goddamn date. That would be a terrible mistake. All right, guys. Thank you so much, Sister Anita, Michael, Scott. We'll see y'all next week.
Comrades.
Yeah.
Bye, comrades.